Thank you, Hans. And the advantage of you being Dutch is that you're able to pronounce my first name. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure being here. I'm afraid there are not many people here that I have to convince about the importance of biodiversity. So next time I'll try to come to a fisheries meeting or something like that to win some hearts there. Thinking of nature, thinking of biodiversity, I always think of a small child, and I see the fascination in the eyes of a child for nature. It's incredible. I'm sure you've all witnessed it. It's some sort of natural fascination with nature that children do have. So seeing that and seeing how responsible people, or they should be responsible people, influential people, behave with our natural environment, I always ask myself, where did it go wrong? Why does, for instance, a fisheries minister goes to the December Council and thinks, we need higher quota. I don't care about the amount of fish in the ocean. No, I only care about the amount of fish in the nets of my fishermen. Where did it go wrong? I find that impossible to understand, given the fact that he or she also was a very small child, fascinated by the beauty of nature. And not only small children. Look at Eurostat figures about the support for nature conservation for more than 85–90% of the European people. They do care a lot. Why doesn't that go up to the decision makers when it's really necessary? And look at the fascination that people can have with a beautiful BBC documentary about nature, or wonderful pictures made by photographers of the wild wonders of Europe. I've seen, my hometown is The Hague, and we had this exhibition from Wild Wonders of Europe, and I came across a lot of times, and there were always people watching the pictures for months. Always people, whether it was rainy or dark or whatsoever. It's always fascinating. They're still little children when they're looking at these beautiful pictures. So where did it go wrong? Why doesn't that go up to the people who take these decisions? Why do people still believe that a road should go straight ahead through a natural protected area? Because it takes 10 minutes more to just go around it. I just don't understand it. Where did it go wrong? Last year we had the International Year on Biodiversity, and it was wonderful because everybody was talking about biodiversity. Every industry organization was organizing an event on biodiversity, and I, inexperienced as I was as a member of parliament, thought, wow, this is going into the right direction. The whole world cares about biodiversity. But somehow we have a different year now. I know it's the International Year of Forests, but it's not as prominent as biodiversity. But all these organizations who organized so many events on biodiversity, they're completely silent. I don't hear them anymore. And I also see it in the real policy measures. We have a very good proposal for common agricultural policy and common fisheries policies from the Commission. I think we have to be Commissioner Rapporteur grateful for the fights that he fought within the Commission to make it as green as it is. But in the Council last week, they discussed the common agricultural policy and the common fisheries policy in the working group of the Environment Council, and they're watering it down. And they're not only watering it down. If I look at budgets for nature conservation in our member states, I won't start with my own country because they're on the bottom of the list, but France cutting with 25% of the budget. The Netherlands, 60%. Italy, there's now a proposal on the table to cut the whole environment ministry, including nature conservation, with 90%. And that's not a 1 and a 9, that's a 9 and a 0. That won't be the end result. It's the start of the negotiations, of course, but still it will be a considerable cut. And that's happening everywhere. At the same time, we're spending billions of euros on environmentally harmful subsidies. And last year, when we came to an agreement in Nagoya on the IKI targets and on the Nagoya Protocol, environmentally harmful subsidies were a very important part of it. Billions, hundreds of billions of euros we're spending on things that are harmful to environment in general and nature in particular. Talking about austerity. I mean, if governments are trying to find money, there it is. There it is. Commissioner Potočnik was using the example of company cars. Every year in the EU, we spend 55 billion euros on promoting the use of company cars. Imagine what we could do with the money if we turn it around. If we use it for electric vehicles, for instance, instead of the vehicles that we're using now. But the same applies to those tens, hundreds of billions that we're using that's destroying nature. It's just impossible to understand it. And there again, I ask the question, where did it go wrong? The red list. Unfortunately, I saw just 5 minutes before leaving Parliament that I had to wear red. So my apologies for that. I thought my blue tie would color perfectly with your IUCN logo, but everything is red now. Oh, there it is. There it is. Wonderful. But your red list is extremely important. Commissioner Potočnik was talking about data and the importance of data. Besides that, we need to base our policy on data. Besides that, the publication of the red list is a very important wake-up call for those people who are on top of the decision-making tree, the ones who lost their natural fascination that they had as a small child. And so let's use this red list and let's try to awake this natural fascination that small children have again in the people who are deciding on these very important issues. So thank you very much, and I'll continue fighting in Parliament. I hope I get a very strong report through the Parliament, but of course it will touch also on common agricultural policy and fisheries policy, so I might have to make a few compromises, but I'll fight for it. Thank you very much.